I don't have anything planned for today, so we're just going to get into it. And yeah, I don't have a channeled message that I'm coming in with. I'm just pulling cards. Trying to get used to it again because sometimes I get in the habit of like doing strictly channeled messages and reading on those, and then I forget just like how to read tarot, and then sometimes I just be reading tarot and then I forget to listen to my intuition and the channels that I'm getting. And so I'm really just trying to find balance in that. But yeah. We have some sort of celebration coming after a period of like emotional hardship and disharmony. We have the Four of Wands, followed by the Ten of Wands and the Three of Cups reverse. Some sort of celebration after some sort of disharmony, emotional exhaustion, blah, 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 blah. Burnout or whatever. But sorry, I had to back that up because, look at this. Anyway, I had to back it up because anyway. I didn't have enough room for my cards. Yeah, so the Four of Wands clarified by the Sun. We have some sort of clarity, happiness, celebration coming. After a really long period of some karmic clearing. Ten of Wands clarified by Justice. We were doing some karmic clearing, some heavy karmic clearing. And now there is the time for celebration. I feel like this could potentially be a love reading now that I'm kind of looking at it. I feel like the Three of Cups specifically could be speaking to some sort of karmic entanglement, especially if we're coming to a period of celebration. This could be speaking specifically to like couples coming back into union, soulmates, twin flames, things of that nature, like deep soul bonds and connections coming back into a union after a period of separation and deep karmic clearing. So whatever karma was and like issues were brought up between the couples when the separation occurred or before the separation occurred, and then all of the stuff that has had to kind of be cleared out and dealt with in separation. We have the Eight of Swords reverse with the Emperor. That's kind of what made me kind of lean towards a more of maybe a love reading, because it just seems like somebody's very clear, like they could have been entangled in some sort of entanglement, right? And then coming to a moment of clarity, no longer feeling stuck, no longer feeling trapped in this connection, in this karma, because we have done some deep work to clear it, and they're able to fully embody themselves. This masculine energy is fully able to embody themselves. Tell me more about this masculine energy here. I am really curious. Jesus, hold up. This masculine energy is ready to move, ready to make moves, ready to... I don't know why I was hearing set sail. Set a course for adventure. Tell me more. Okay, so this masculine energy is ready to come forward. However, I feel like they still have some doubts. Doubts about how they'll be received, doubts about how to come forward. Yeah, doubts about what to say, doubts about coming forward, if they'll be received well. Why is this? Why do they have these doubts? Okay, so I was kind of looking at this card and I was like, okay, they're maybe going back and forth. They're maybe feeling like unbalanced. And then it kind of clicked for me. I don't know what I was watching earlier, really how the thought connected, but um, this is giving an energy of like perfectionism. Do you know what I mean? Like this masculine energy, even though they're more so embodying themselves or more so they're more clear-headed on who they want in terms of connection, right? They're more clear-headed on wanting to move forward. I don't feel like this masculine energy has ever really wavered on the fact that they had feelings for you or that your connection was a deep kind of spiritual, really important one, right? However, there is almost like an energy of like not being in control and like lack. So it's like I'm not necessarily at the point that I would like to be at in order to provide for this person or to come, like I'm not perfect yet. So there's almost an energy of like performance. There's an energy of like lack and insecurity about who they are, and that lines up well with the 9 of swords, but then also that would make sense as to why they are unsure. Even though they want to move forward, they're unsure if they should, because there's an energy of like, am I ready for this sort of thing. So it's not necessarily about you, it's an energy of like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. I don't know if I've done enough. I don't know if I am enough. But they do really want to start over. I feel like this masculine could potentially message you on a whim. Like, for some reason, I'm kind of seeing like the middle of the day, like while you're at work, you don't notice it right away. Or they text you while they're at work, so they're busy and they don't have to like pick up their phone and see if you responded or not. Like it's like, oh, I'm busy, I'm preoccupied, this is the perfect time to do it, because then if they respond, I'm not sitting here waiting for a response from them. um this could be somebody who just reaches out on a whim. Like they don't necessarily plan it or think it through. This person wants to start over. This person wants to open up communication with you. However, they're just not really sure how. They're not really sure. Um, I'm hearing specifically based on how it ended for some of you, they're not sure how to approach this. You may have messaged them last and they didn't respond. Um, they may have messaged you last and you didn't respond. Um, you guys could have had some sort of falling out, like some sort of a harsher ending. This isn't going to be anything that was like abusive or toxic or, made you like genuinely question your sanity and your worth on like a mentally ill sort of level, you know what I mean? But this is going to be something that maybe hurt or maybe didn't end well, or somebody got ghosted. It wasn't, again, inherently like abusive, but it wasn't necessarily the best ending. um but yeah, they're like, I don't know how to proceed forward just based on how things ended, based on the conflict that we had prior to this, and the fact also that I didn't nurture or put any sort of love or care into the connection. Though it's like I didn't handle this with care, and I don't know how to kind of I don't know how to run that back, right? Like, I didn't handle the situation, I didn't handle our love, I didn't handle the connection with care, and I don't really know how one comes back from that. I don't really know how I, you know, make that up to you. The Eight of Pentacles, they're definitely working on something. Like, they're workshopping ideas. They're putting in a lot of work on themselves. I do feel like this person is probably very work oriented at this time, potentially even family oriented for some of you. This is somebody who has really thrown themselves into something, whether they're an entrepreneur, whether they want to get a promotion at work, whether, you know, they don't even have a job. Maybe they're an artist or something like that. It doesn't matter. They've really thrown themselves into other things to kind of, A, make themselves feel better, make themselves feel like they are building themselves up again, because they are trying to find themselves. They are trying to heal themselves as well. So this isn't just about your connection and the connection with you. They're also going through things separately. They're going through things by themselves. And so they've kind of thrown themselves into their work or working on some sort of project in order to kind of A, occupy their time and their mind so they're not really thinking about it, but B, try to provide them some clarity on like where to go forward. Like, if I can, do a bunch of stuff and get a bunch of stuff out of my system, out of my mind, maybe that will provide me clarity because things aren't going to be bouncing around up here. And then also to further themselves so that maybe they might feel more confident in coming forward with some sort of offer or trying to make things right. They're like, if I could come forward, like if I could apologize to them or even approach them and I'm in a better spot than they left me, then I'll be worthy of either, forgiving, or I don't look like such a loser, like coming crawling back, you know what I mean? Like, there is kind of an egoic, I don't feel like they're necessarily moving from ego. Like, it doesn't feel like this is like intentionally ego based. It doesn't even feel like it's very heavily ego based. I just feel like there's a little, obviously, like a little tinge of ego in there because we are human beings. Of like, I want to be perceived of like actually having something to offer. Like, I want them to see that I actually have something to offer. And it's almost too like, I'm thinking like an addict making amends, right? It's like almost if I have something to show you, you know, of like where I was then versus where I am now, and I have something to show for that, that in some way they feel like it kind of absolves them of guilt because they're like, see, I needed to do this. I needed to go off on my own. Um, there may be, for some of you, some avoidance from this person, some avoidance of accountability because, again, I feel like they don't necessarily see it that way or perceive it that way, but they're almost putting in work into something else because if they can come back to you, you know, with a house and a home and able to provide, or, their 30-day, 60-day chip, it's like, okay, I may have done all these horrible things to you, or not horrible things, but I may have done something distasteful to you, or I may have, neglected the connection for some time, but this is what I was doing in the meantime. Like, I wasn't just doing nothing. I was working on this for us, for me, but for us, and I wanted to be able to provide for you, or I wanted to be able to do this and that, and I couldn't at the time, and, see how this justifies, the ends justify the means sort of energy. Not that it does, and not that it's right, but that's just kind of the space that they're operating from. Like, if I can have something to show for it, then it'll all be worth it in the end. Like, if I can come back and apologize and actually have something tangible, something real that I can like present to them, then it should ease A, some of my guilt, but B, some of their anger about how I potentially treated them. Not that I do feel like I do feel like you might be feeling, I don't know, maybe a little bit scorned. I heard in my, I heard like, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, right? So like there may be some resentments on your end. Yeah. Um, my throat started getting a tickle when I said that. It's like, it's almost like, I think a lot of times when people, you know, treat us a certain way, we like to like paint them as a villain. And yes, they may be some sort of a villain, but we like to like kind of conveniently leave out the parts where we should also hold ourselves accountable. And in this way, it's like I still hold a grudge. I still hold some sort of resentment. I also do feel like for some of you, I definitely am getting a sense of like, you definitely in the connection were not open with this person. Like, you didn't open up your heart to this person, right? You wanted this connection, you wanted this commitment, and yet you're mad at them from withdrawing from the connection, or you feel scorned by them because they withdrew from the connection. Whole time you were never fully in the connection yourself. You had one foot in, one foot out. So I'm hearing, from a haunted house when Ray Ray's like, how do you sort of, what do you say? How do you kind of fuck Keisha? Cuz did he have one pant leg in, one pant leg out? Like, he wasn't even interested in fucking her, homie. Like, he had somewhere better to be, homie. I used to love that movie so much. But, like, that's the specific line that I'm seeing for some reason. It's like, you were genuinely, like, one pant leg in, one pant leg out. And I feel like they sense that. Like, this masculine sense that you were not fully in the connection. I feel like there's a lot of, like, especially in twin flame connections or connections, like deep spiritual connections, where they are mirrors. The people that we're connecting with are mirrors of ourselves, right? And this person might have ghosted you and gone on to like do the work, and they want to come back with this, that, and the other thing. And it's like they want to come back with something to be like, see, like, I proved it. Like, this is why I did what I did, right? And it's like, you also have to look at that as like, you're accusing them of being an avoidant and ghosting you and not coming to terms with their feelings. But were you ever really fully in that relationship? Were you ever really fully, wholeheartedly invested? And this isn't going to resonate for everybody, but I do feel like there's a select group of feminines that I'm speaking to who need to hear the fact that, like, you definitely had a lock around your heart and you would not give them the key. You wouldn't give them. And it's like, even if they found the key and got the key and used the key, you'd be there guarding it. Like, it's like you never really fully let this person in, and they felt that. It's not something that they couldn't see. It's not something that this masculine didn't know, like, we like to think of the masculines, or at least me, I have a little bit of a bias, but like, they're a little bit slower, they're a little bit not as smart, they're a little bit behind. Some men are kind of dumb sometimes, you know what I mean? Like, it is what it is, and it's fine. I nothing against men. And it doesn't have to be a man. This is just a masculine energy, right? But it's just like, there's this common misconception that masculine energies aren't just as intuitive, or can't be just as intuitive as feminine energies, and that's just not the case. Like, they also pick up on subtle energies and things like that. And for a select group of feminines that I'm speaking to, like, you were not open. You did not let that masculine in. And there's a need to reconcile with yourself with that. And I feel like, too, on the flip side, where they're like working really hard to like build themselves up and da 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 da, you, because they want to be like, see, here's the justification, you almost used their behavior and how they withdrew as justification for not being fully yourself or fully present in the energy of that relationship, right? So like you weren't fully letting them in. You may have withdrawn when you were feeling overwhelmed, right? And it's like and it's like you were never fully in it. I feel like emotionally you definitely were. However, you were not open to that exchange. You were not open to the vulnerability. And while that's okay that like you maybe weren't ready, there is a need to recognize that, and recognize that not that it's your fault or anything like that, but like for some of you, like you aren't as open as you think that you are or you thought that you were. Both of you want something long term. Both of you want something committed. Both of you see a really good, happy ending between the two of you if you can make it work together. But both of you have to be willing to open up and nurture the connection. I do feel like on some level, in some ways, this masculine might have had you beat in terms of openness. It's like you maybe had like a consistent sort of care, but was it real? Was it open? Was it vulnerable care? Because if not, then they can feel that. They can feel if it's not. They can feel if you're fully in it, right? There's something I'm trying to say, but I can't think of the verbiage for it. It keeps escaping me as it's like trying to come out. That could also too be indicative of like you sharing things with this person. Like it's like I'm gonna keep poking at this until I figure out what it's trying to say, because it keeps coming up. Like you were not as open as you thought. Like you might have shared things with them, but you weren't necessarily sharing things that were vulnerable. Like you were vulnerable, but to a point where you weren't exposed. Okay, so it's like you almost performed vulnerability in a sense of like you can share deep things, or you can share things that have happened to you. Maybe you can even share your art and stuff like that, but you don't do it in a way that they can touch it. You don't do it in a way that it's tangible, that it's real for them to be able to see, hold, taste, touch, all of those things. It's like you do it in a very elusive way. Oh, this thing happened to me. It's the past. It doesn't bother me anymore. Let me share the story with you, right? It's not what's going on right here, right now. What's bothering you right here, right now? How do you feel right here, right now? Right? How do you feel about us? How do you feel about this? What is your heart saying, right? If you're going through something at the time, like you're not sharing it with them, you're keeping it to yourself because you don't want to be a burden, XYZ, da 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 da. But like, it's like you weren't as open. You performed vulnerability. It was curated vulnerability is not vulnerability. Curated vulnerability and having particular things that sound deep or maybe even are deep but don't emotionally touch you or don't emotionally move you right here, right now, is not being present in vulnerability. It's projecting or throwing these past things like, look at how vulnerable I am. Look at how much I'll share with you. Except you're never present in it. It's not something that's currently moving you. It's not something that has to do with the person that's right in front of them. It has to do with what shaped them, right? But it's like you're only sharing things that no longer affect you, and you're not sharing things that do, right? And then when you do touch on the things that are currently affecting you, you're not going deep. You're not getting in depth with it. You're holding yourself back. You're like, well, I don't want to seem messy or wrong, because I feel like at some point, feminines, you are taught that your feelings and sharing your feelings is messy and a burden, and it's too much. So you learned to keep your feelings in, process alone, and then only share when you have it packaged in a when you have it in a neat little pile or a neat little package with a cute little bow on top where you can perform it. That's not vulnerability. That is performance. That is not vulnerability. Because you were told that your emotions, your raw emotions, as is right here, right now, are too messy, too much. Not seen, not heard. And so you learned how to perform vulnerability for closeness or perceived closeness or the illusion of closeness. However, you never actually learned how to be vulnerable, which is a big, big thing in relationships. And I feel like for you in particular, this is probably why in a lot of your connections you have maybe been trying to figure out why you don't necessarily feel connected to these people. Why is it that you can't necessarily find a good core group of friends, or why you don't feel that bond that everybody else seems to feel? Everybody else seems to find this bond, right? And I feel it in romantic relationships, but then it's like when the relationship ends and then I'm left feeling like I could have done more, or it could have been more, or I feel guilt or regret over these things. And it's because you're performing vulnerability. You're not actively present in those relationships. You can't connect with people. You never learned how to connect with people where you're at. You're always connecting with people from a past version of you, not who you are right now, not how you feel right now. You're not connecting from your heart space. You're connecting from your mental. You're not allowing your heart space to be open and to give and receive and be vulnerable. Like anything that's going to put you in a position to be vulnerable, you're not going to do that. And while, and I'm going to tie this back, but like, I just feel like, not saying that this is your fault. This isn't your fault. It is your responsibility, but it's not your fault, right? I just feel like, and I also feel like I'm about to say something, but I want to kind of double down on the fact, or like really hone in on the fact that both of y'all are at fault. This was some piss poor communication. This was right person, wrong time, right? Y'all were going through things, y'all were growing, y'all didn't know what you know now. However, I feel like this lack of clarity is what confuses, or this lack of vulnerability, because it's like this masculine felt something with you, felt this connection, wanted you to open, but it wasn't their job to make you vulnerable or to put you in a position to be vulnerable. You needed to open your heart and be vulnerable, and if they were able to receive that, then they were worthy of your vulnerability. If not, you can pack it up and bring it elsewhere, right? But it's like, I feel like we place so much importance, like, well, oh, they have to be a safe space. You're not going to know if they're a safe space if you never give them the chance to be a safe space. And doing it and trying to be, I don't know why I feel like I need to say this. Maybe this is for somebody out there. Maybe it's for myself. Who knows? But being vulnerable as a, like, out of reaction, like a reactive response, is not true vulnerability. Yes, you are opening up, but you're doing it reactively. You're doing it to avoid some sort of consequences caused by you not being vulnerable in the first place. And again, it's still curated. You're still going to curate that shit. You're going to be like, oh, well, I'm sorry that I was taught this, that, and the other thing. That's curated, that's scripted. It's okay to be messy. It's okay to be in the right here, right now. It's okay to have feelings right here, right now. It's okay to run that shit back later, right? Like, I just feel like inability to be vulnerable kind of contributes to this masculine's like not being sure if they want to reach out, because they're not necessarily sure how that's going to go, if you're going to be open to receiving. Again, not your fault, but it is your responsibility. Yeah, they're worried, this masculine is worried that you are still going to be to yourself, that you're still going to keep the most beautiful, most vulnerable parts of yourself to yourself. That's why they're a little bit unsure, a little bit hesitant about reaching out. I feel like, as well, you, if we're speaking from a standpoint of like twin flames and mirrored connections and karmic connections and soul connections and things of that nature, you're not open to receiving. You are not open to receiving. You are not at a point where you're ready to genuinely embody what it would be to be in union or be in a committed union, or you're just not in a receptive state. I feel like for this particular group of feminines, and again, maybe I lost a lot of people at some point, but I just feel like maybe for this particular group, or for this particular group, it's like you're not necessarily open, and there's still work that you need to do personally. I'm not saying that this is blocking you. I'm not saying that they're not going to come back, but I do think this is something that needs to be kept in mind as you move forward in this connection, or as you want to move forward in this connection, even in life, genuinely. Like, again, like, I just feel like you have a hard time really feeling like you fit in anywhere, and I feel like it's because you don't necessarily you're not necessarily open. Ego. Her ego getting in the way of a relationship, etc. I genuinely feel like, again, like, it's like you're holding resentments towards these people and not even realizing, or towards this masculine, not even realizing where you yourself fell short in the relationship. I feel like these are lessons that you're still working out. We have bad karma here, and we have played out here. It's like, I feel like this is something that you're still working out. I feel like you've kind of played out this bad karma. You've kind of played out this loop. Like, it's time to actually address this ego loop, or this kind of ego place that you're in. I know we really started with saying this masculine wants to come back and da-da-da. And while that is true, I guess this is where the message is going. Yeah, there's like, it's like you're clearing out karma. There's like a need to clear out karma. I feel like you both are doing this. I feel like you both are clearing out karma. You and this masculine energy are clearing out karma. Especially how I said at the beginning of the reading, let's bring it back. Let's bring it back down to earth, right? So at the beginning of the reading, I said that they could have potentially chose somebody over you, a karmic relationship over you. We have love triangle, which is third party involved, torn between two or multiple lovers. Again, like, I do feel like they were sorting out, maybe they had some sort of connection to an ex, maybe they had some sort of like I don't know, maybe they were attached to an ex in some way, shape or form, and they were just trying to sort that out, or maybe they left you for somebody. I don't know where the fuck my thought process went there. My fucking train of thought got completely wiped as I was speaking. Anyway, we're gonna jump from that thought. But again, like I said, like they could have potentially been entertaining you and a third party connection. Or a third party connection. Yeah. Anyway, broke ass. This is giving the fact that, like, I feel like I said, how they feel like they're not good enough, or like they needed to work on themselves, or like have some sort of come up, have something to show for themselves when they come back into your life. Like, it's like they can't come back with absolutely nothing. Like, they have to come back with something. Rejected. I feel like this person is scared of being rejected, but I also do feel like on some level they rejected you and they know they rejected you, which is why they feel like with the broke ass card is like they have to come with something worth it. Like, they have to come with something that is they have to come with something that's like worth your while, like some sort of offer is kind of what they feel like. Again, this is very much so a lack mindset, a lack narrative. Fake accounts. I feel like this person is definitely still keeping tabs on you for sure. However, I do feel like they could have ignored your, like, any messages that you sent, or if you or if they sent you messages, you've ignored them. But this person is keeping tabs on you, but they're not going to be reaching out to you. That's the energy with that. But again, with the connection itself, it's like I do feel like you personally have some things to work on, feminines, but as for the masculines, they're not quite ready to come in because they're still dealing with ego issues on their end. And they're still wrapping some things up. However, I do feel like mentally they are pretty clear on what they want from you. We're just going to get a couple of messages of what they want to say to you, feminine, what the masculines want to say to the feminine, and then we're gonna wrap this up, because at some point when I started talking about the masculine, I like really locked in with the feminine, but then I started talking about the masculine again, kind of lost my train of thought. This person is having fantasies about you in some capacity. I can't read upside down, but the card that fell out is like my fantasy. You're so smart. Your intellect really turns me on. You're so smart, and I really enjoy our conversations. This person definitely misses talking to you for sure. For sure. Wishes they could talk to you. However, if you did reach out, I don't foresee them like actually responding, with the ignoring card coming out as well. It's just like I don't see them actually like responding to you. It's like I really miss the conversations that we did have, but again, I'm too nervous, still going through some stuff, still figuring out some stuff. However, I do want to start over with you. However, I'm just not ready yet. I haven't found a way in yet. The future. I daydream about our future together, going on adventures, and growing old together. I want it all. Gaslighting you. I have been lying to you and gaslighting you. You weren't crazy. I just wasn't strong enough. You were right. I just wasn't strong enough to admit it. Mother wounds. My mother is a big influence on my behavior now as an adult. I have challenges connecting to the divine feminine within me and externally. My dreams. I did see this in the pre-shuffle too. I've been dreaming about you. In my dreams, we are so free and in love. I wish I could stay there forever. Not grabbing that. I'm sorry. I hate how much I've hurt you. I'm so sorry for all the pain I've caused you You didn't deserve any of it. And attention of others. I'm addicted to the attention of others, and I love feeling wanted and needed. I don't feel whole without it. This kind of makes me think that this person is in situations, your masculine energy is in some sort of situations where they're entertaining people that they know aren't necessarily good for them. However, they are, like, again, it's giving like this is the reflection of your this in particular, the attention of other things, like while they're entertaining other people, this is the reflection of your lack of vulnerability. Do you remember how I said, as if it wasn't within this video, do you remember how I said that you possibly have been dealing with not feeling necessarily deeply connected to people in the same way that you feel like other people are, or not feeling like you have these bonds with people? And I feel like you entertain people, that you don't feel comfortable being open with, or that you don't even want to be open with, or that you don't feel like deserve your openness and your vulnerability, and you perform closeness with these people. This is the same energy. It's like, even though they know that these people aren't, adding any substance to their lives, and these aren't the people that they ultimately are going to end up with, it's like, it feels good. It feels, they get to have that connection and feel that connection while also not having it be a vulnerable or deep sort of thing that they're gonna have to navigate through. So, yeah, this could be like families, specifically with the mother wounds here. I'm definitely getting like family systems, like they still entertain family systems that are toxic in their lives, or even like friendship groups and stuff like that are toxic, that they don't necessarily resonate with or don't actually give to them, because they like the feeling of like being loved, or like the idea of being loved, but don't necessarily know how to connect in a way with, at least with these people, that is healthy and sustainable for everybody. Again, this is mirroring your inability to be vulnerable. But also in relationships too, I feel like if this masculine energy does have a third party energy, which I feel like it's very likely that they do, they entertain this third party because they get to have the mimic of the closeness without the depth and the vulnerability. And they also kind of like how it feels, even though it makes them feel like shit. It's like when you stay in a toxic or abusive relationship, it's like, yes, it makes you feel like shit. However, there's a feeling of like home and being comfortable in those situations because you're used to them, and it gives you, and it sort of mimics the closeness that you're yearning for or searching for. It doesn't quite fill that void, but it does give you enough, right? So again, that's sort of kind of the energy that is being presented here. But that was kind of a lot. It got a little bit scattered at times. You know what I'm saying? Don't even really know what the core of the message is. It was just kind of a lot of different things. However, don't wait for inspiration, or don't wait to be vulnerable. Be vulnerable. Don't wait to see who deserves your vulnerability. Be vulnerable and judge based on who can actually receive it or not. If they can't receive it, they don't continue to get it. You're acting from a space of like, I'm gonna suss them out first and then be vulnerable. You should be acting from your heart space. You're like, I'm not going to open my heart space until I'm for sure they're not going to hurt me, instead of leading with your heart space and then revoking access when people show you that they cannot receive or hold your heart respectfully. You're like, I'm going to hold a block up, and only the rare few are going to get through, but that's no way to live, because you're never going to have any sort of meaningful or fulfilling connections if you can't learn to give and receive. Your feminine energy needs to be open. You have a hard time. I feel like it's both. Like, I feel you have a hard time giving and you have a hard time receiving. You have a hard time giving yourself authentically. Anyway, let me get off my soapbox. You guys have a good night. By the way, I was picking up the cards and I picked up the one that was on the floor, and the card was "You hurt me. Everything that happened hurt me so much. I need more time to heal." So, like I said, you're not entirely blameless. Okay? Okay, bye.